Neeraj, districts informant by my vehicle. I think that we should inform the districts. We need to, it's not my position. We need to inform the districts and have a district meeting and get their information and bring it back to the legislature. And it's not my position. I already said no on the resolution. And so I believe that every district should have a district meeting on this particular issue, on that joint action resolution, on whether to expense their per cap for the general fund. Kogi position, man. I need to go back to the districts and I need to talk to the enrolled membership. And with that enrolled membership, they need to express to me their position. Kayoko.
Eric.
Thank you, Chair, members of the body, visiting guests, committee meetings. I expressed my view on AX all along. And then AX district meeting, I kind of got the sense that per cap districts, and that's where I stand. I say it again, TCY. There's projected revenues that are going to come in later. And, I think government should take a hit. I'll take a hit and go from there.
Paul. Thank you, Chair. Second visiting guest. Again, well, I guess my point of view is again, you don't mess with per cap. Already had a meeting on it, and the majority were don't touch the per cap to me. So I think I'll have another district meeting to inform the district, and I'll ask them how they feel, how they, what they think about per cap. I'm for not touching per cap. Yeah, same here. That's the law in the committee, so not touch per cap. I did say no, but on the resolution, but we're past that, and per cap, it's the big issue right now. And now we're moving that away and just sticking with the severance tax and the gross proceeds and taking the hit there. And we just got to figure out how we're gonna do the reductions in each item. And you brought that, our bills for the year. And we got to pay those, and that came up to what, about 10 million plus. And we got to cut that out first, because that's the bills we got to pay, and after that, what the remainder of it is what we're going to be surviving on as a tribe. And there's money's coming, but we don't know when. And if they don't come, we got to look forward to. We got to start looking elsewhere. We can't just depend on this code, from the 70s. They should have continued, trying to bring something, but we just sat idle for 40 plus years. And, it's time to start looking elsewhere. We got a lot of minerals, just got to go and do some work. It's time to work. Right, Pat.
So now I guess our bill passed out earlier. This JAR on it's a draft that's being presented. That now we're going to plug in some numbers. So now you guys can take this out to your constituents, your representatives, your districts, and start plugging in those zero. Hey, we're not going to touch this per cap, but this is what it's going to start looking like. And then we start talking about the budget. If we start leaning towards that continuing resolution way, then we're sitting okay till we're just standstill with a quarter of what we did last year until the end of December. Now we got to start negotiating those numbers that we talk about as reducing all these department areas. So at least that buys us some time when we go in that direction. But at least you guys can plug in some numbers and I'll take it to your district. We're not making a decision right now. I'm not saying, hey, we're doing this and we're going to vote on it right today. That's not the case. We at least know consensus of this body that we don't want to touch per cap now. So plug it in here and now show them this is what's going to happen now.
All right, Duke. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Issues, being the committee chair for finance, one of the reasons we did this for everybody's information, we never used to, we did have projected revenues in there, and we passed it as projected revenues. But then when the actual came, we didn't know what actually came. Sometimes it's way less, especially that 32 million that we passed. And those were projected, expected revenues, anticipated revenues, but they didn't come in. And that's why we didn't put the anticipated revenues in there anymore. We just wanted the actuals. And that was a motion that we made in the finance committee. And then anything that anticipated revenues came in, then it would come in for appropriations, for approval. And here's Magaji, so Kunera State, because it takes a while. I know that some of you guys are new. It takes a while to really understand, the process of the budget.
Again, yes, you are getting resolution there. You want following the equal for another cut material because it's going to keep trying going, which is in the future that was just sunk. Reserve book now this section again. Resolution the cut look good. If you could just put your politicking hats aside and listen to this resolution that we passed. If we didn't pass it, 2018, 45,000 tons gutted that they're going to sell. Like the per cap, kanami, the cut look got smaller than reduction to value. Go get a contract. That's what that resolution did. Kalagon reserve book now section 1 now ago. Deal with just suck. Internally, no reduction call it. We send this reduction with Westmoreland to go to the market. Now that contract get them tell them. Kalagon internally. So they go cut the plywood, and I don't think any of us ever said we're going to cut per cap, but that was one of the revenues that came from Westmoreland. What of gross proceeds, what is severance taxes, and the reduction, that's what they little reduction, but anyway, will internally be out that decision, not Westmoreland, not anybody else, and per cap, we should achieve late tag, but that was one of the revenues that came in. I mean, that royalty, we should saw the gross proceeds and severance tax cut the ball. That's where we're at. That coal reduction, approve, but now the next one is the gross proceeds and severance tax and royalty. We should sue that means per capita. You still got to understand there's still going to be a reduction on all three coming into the tribe. Overall reduction, so per cap, where we've had annually, big per cap, reduction to that. it's still gonna affect, overall reduction, overall, the Squirt tribe, overall is gonna take a reduction, even if we didn't touch royalty, if we don't touch gross proceeds or severance tax, there's still a cut. You gotta understand that. Again, we're not keeping the royalty way up, it's still overall, $1.50 cut to it overall, a ton that we're taking just to be competitive and to get a contract. And that's all we did was in the contract thing, we achieved that. Now the money's coming in is based on sales and royalty, Ujutsu of that, you still gotta understand, there's still $1.50 reduction overall. Whether we touch royalty or not, but the reduction we have, we wanna keep royalty at its, Ujutsu still got a $1.50, get them cool overall for everybody.
Thank you, Chair. What the chairman of the executive said is true. There's an overall of 1.5. But internally, the Bureau says that we can still maintain that for royalty purposes. But as far as the company itself, they're saying Crow Tribe, we need to reduce it by $1.50 and then $1.75 the following. So that's done. That's a done deal. That's gonna happen. Now, internally, it's up to the legislative branch along with the executive to promote that amount of royalty to maintain it. And that's coming from BIA. So it's more of an internal decision. Because it's, for example, what we just did today by adding that zero there. See, no matter what you get paid from the coal company, it's look at it as a lump sum coming to the tribe, lump sum. When it gets to the tribe, then it's divvied, and BIA oversees all this. And that's why I've always asked, where's BIA in this? Where's BIA? They're the trustee. Because now, with that reduction, are they still going to maintain that 12.5% gross for per capita? That's my major question for BIA. BIA will turn around and say, this is what the tribe approved for, so therefore it may be less. And what I'm saying is that it's up to this body, along with the chairman, to maintain it at that 12.5 per CFR. So that's totally your money today that you're looking out for on behalf of the Crow Tribe. And so I just wanted to reiterate that. Again, the feds have no problem how you want to reduce. The feds have no problem on what you want to go under, but they also have to justify the purposes of going below the CFR amounts. So I'd like to just comment on that.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on this section 1 that we're going through the A, B, and C. We decided the zero will be royalties. Bills got broken out between severance tax and gross proceeds, so actually if we, it's just something to think about, if we apply as much as we can to gross proceeds can't handle the full reduction because it's not enough per ton. But if we can put as much in there, it actually would defer to the following year's budget because gross proceeds is actually a year after, where severance tax is every quarter. So you could really defer that a little bit down the line. You're just looking, if you use the other money that's coming in too to make up this deficit, if nothing comes in 18, you'd be looking at a pretty rough year in 18. If you defer all the hurt to 18. But just something to think about, and something to add to Senator Goes-Ahead's comments. When we do get this passed, we'll be able to get what Westmoreland is actually projecting based off of these reductions, probably in October or November, so we can get that actually put into the budget based off of their models and their projections on these new coal sales and everything. And also I'll add, for the royalties, kind of what the chairman was talking about, everything's gonna go down regardless, just because the tribes used to be selling 5.5 million tons out of that mine. Now we're just trying to do the reduction so that they can get to around 3 million tons. So regardless, everything's gonna take a hit just on those lost tons.
Yeah, just for information, this, on this budget, a little debt service, right now, currently, we're working on, consolidating that debt to, make, all of them, now the FSA, BIA, which has been there since the 70s. The bond payment, 97, that's what built the multi and the bank and the whole host of other, the 07 note, 13 note, and the USDA loans, that both of them were for the infrastructure for Crow. Again, all the new water lines, sewer lines that went in, those are USDA. And this debt service that we're looking to consolidate, and we're looking at proposals from different financial institutions. Again, that's gonna one lump sum that we pay, and then there'll be one interest rate. And again, we're looking at one where it's gonna save us in 10 years. 3.2 savings over a 10-year span if we do the debt consolidation, and that's what we're got proposals only sent out. What was that, about springtime we sent them out when U.S. Bank came out, which is the U.S. Bank was here, First Interstate was here. We sent proposals, and now they're sending them back with their, Cole, we're still in negotiations with those financial institutions that debt consolidated, that's going to save us about 3.2 over the next 10 years. And that's another, again, 2.1 debt service fall, and those loans have been, some of them, like the FSA, BIA loan has been sitting there since about 70, so we're just barely just paid the interest on, I think, and Cole, that's why some of these interest rates are high, and I think the 13 note was the lowest we ever got, and so just for your FYI, we are looking at debt consolidation.
Go ahead, Doc.
I just wanted to clarify a process that has kind of arisen since this amendment came in. There was an issue about, is this a JAR or is this a CLB? And so I would like the legislative branch to entertain that we are in fact in the process of the act of a CLB. This is a major cut in tribal income to the budget, and we're being asked to accept a reduction on that basis, which entails a lot of discussion on how that impact is going to be on the 2016 continuing resolution and the 2017 Budget Act. I'm not sure that's appropriate in this JAR. I would advise to the otherwise. My suggestion is that Section 3 be amended, that we do accept the reduction, because if we don't, the mine is going to close. However, that reduction shall be reflected in the 2016 continuing resolution or the 2017 Budget Act. I think that a CLB should be brought forward to address this in the Finance Committee and therefore be decided in that realm rather than squeezing it into Section 3 because of the huge impact it's going to make on the budget if in the event this branch decides not to reduce per capita. And so even though that they are two separate things as they've been brought forth by the executive branch, we're in fact in the process of deciding a budget, and that's appropriately should be heard under a CLB. But I wanted to clarify with Executive Attorney Bill Watt. I just asked a question a little bit ago. Does Westmoreland really need these numbers by October 1st? Can we appropriately address that under the Finance Committee meetings? Can we decide this under the 2016 continuing resolution under a CLB? That's the reason why I bring that up, is because of the consensus that was made today. Doesn't appear to be too much of an agreement that, by the process of the JAR, but there has been expression that a budget should be brought forward with regards to how the legislative branch is going to accept or modify or deny that. So I just wanted to clarify that we are in the process of deciding a budget, probably should be under CLB.
Good.
Thank you, Chair. Don, I guess I would respectfully disagree with some of that, although I think it's very closely tied together, and that's why we're here talking about both of them. The coal leases have extensive provisions, pages long each, about what the royalty rate is and what the tax rates are. Both items are in all three of the Westmoreland leases. The previous JAR 1607 that approved the $1.50 total reduction was then an amendment to those leases to reduce those in some proportion, and we agreed to go ahead and reserve that allocation between royalty and taxes to a little later date because at that point Clint had not had a chance to prepare any numbers to even get a sense of what the impacts might be if you didn't touch per capita. Now you have that in front of you. So I guess I would submit that this can be the just exact item of separating or of allocating it between royalty and taxes could be and should be dealt with in this JAR because that completes the amendments to the leases. Amending those provisions on how much royalty and how much taxes are going to be paid. The other thing I would just suggest regarding timing is BIA right now has all this material, and we try to keep them informed a little bit along the way here as this was introduced in the legislature back in August. They are wrestling kind of with whether they can go ahead and approve the whole thing without knowing the allocation. So in many ways it would be helpful to that approval process by BIA to know how it's going to be allocated. And from all the discussion today, it just didn't sound like there was much question about how that's going to result in not making any of the reductions apply to per capita. I may be wrong about that, maybe your districts will tell you differently, but that's what it seems to be. So that just deals with the amount that changes to the royalty and tax rates in the leases and amendments to the leases. So that's done under the legislature's authority to approve or disapprove, dispositions of tribal mineral assets and stuff like that, as opposed to under the budget. And that's the way the JAR is written. Then, in any event, Westmoreland, from our contacts with their legal people, is anxious to get the BIA's approval because they can't nail down any of those contracts until they know for sure BIA is going to approve it. So the sooner that we're done, the better. As you mentioned, we do need a CR, which would be a bill, a CLB, by October 1st. We need at least a CR in order to keep the government going. So it would be decided one way or the other, whatever vehicle is used by October 1st, I think. So again, my suggestion would be to stay with this JAR just now that you've got some sense of the budgetary implications to approve that allocation. And go ahead with with the details of the budget. Maybe I'm talking out of school. I know the chairman or Clint will correct me if AJ if they have a different view of it.
I just wanted to follow up with that because I still stand by my position. I believe this is a budget amendment. And I think we need to operate according to the Constitution. So I think if we're going to do something with this JAR, there better be a continuing resolution showing up pretty shortly because this is under the guise of a JAR and it should be done by the appropriate process. So, but everything else I agree, Bill. I know timing is important. And we do need time to consider the budget. We need some real numbers, something that's going to be worked on. I did mention to finance last week that those numbers need to be realistic. You can't bring us numbers that say that are not realistic. Further, you know, if we're gonna get into the discussion, those are entirely finance budget year discussions, and I believe it's gonna be part of the CR 16, so, I don't think we can squeeze it into section 3 that nonchalantly. We do have a constitution that will abide by. Thank you, Chair.
Bill, you can do with Don, you guys can work that out. And, our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, the 15th at 10 a.m. for a finance committee meeting. We'll recess and we'll reconvene on Thursday, the 15th. All right, thanks for all of you that showed up.
Just wanted to add, it is a budget issue, but it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, because we have provisions in that agreement that we voted on, that if they're not able to secure those additional call contracts, it avoids that reduction. So that would have a huge impact on the budget as well. So without knowing those numbers, they can't secure the contract, so we don't know what the budget's gonna be, so it's gonna be constantly moving until we actually have clarification of everything.